Let's be real, nobody fully agrees on the perfect long-term investment. Markets crash, industries vanish, the world shifts. But there's one critical financial truth almost everyone misunderstands. I'm telling you, the absolute worst long-term asset you can possibly hold is cash. By the time I'm done, you won't just agree with me, you'll know it's true. I'm about to expose 5 brutal truths about why cash is a catastrophic long-term holding. Because let's be honest, your goal was never just to hold money. Reason number 1, and this one's unavoidable, cash is literally guaranteed to lose purchasing power. It sounds obvious, right? Yet most people still completely blind themselves to this fact. The entire system is rigged. It's designed to make your cash worth less and less every single year. Let's cut to the chase. There's one brutal truth most people choose to ignore. Here's the stark reality. Cash, the money in your pocket, is literally designed to lose value over time. Stop for a second and truly process that. Your hard-earned money's purchasing power is constantly, relentlessly eroding. Consider this. If simply hoarding 100 grand in cash was more profitable than investing in literally anything else for 10 years, why on earth would anyone build, innovate, or buy a business? It absolutely defies logic. Because at its core, cash is a dilutable tool. When new money gets created, it's not some even sprinkle across the economy. It surges in, concentrated through very specific channels. Here's a thought. Why would anyone bother investing or building anything new if their cash just held its value perfectly? Here's the harsh reality. Your cash is constantly losing its buying power. When new money gets printed, it doesn't magically spread itself evenly across the economy, does it? No! It hits specific places first. I'm talking governments, big banks, huge corporations, and the stock market. And these first recipients? They get to spend that fresh cash at yesterday's prices. Lucky them, right? But by the time that money filters down to your paycheck or your savings account, prices have already jumped. Which means if you're just sitting on cash, you're perpetually stuck at the back of the line. And here's the crazy part. Nothing actually has to go wrong for this to happen. The money supply expands every single year. It has to fuel growth, credit, and debt. It's literally built into the system. Here's the brutal truth. When the money supply expands, every single dollar you possess buys less. This isn't a secret. It's just math. This economy doesn't hum along with cash tucked under a mattress. It absolutely depends on money constantly moving. And the system is designed to exert relentless pressure, pushing your idle cash right back out there. It's literally built to make you act. Forget the economics textbooks and their convoluted theories. Here's the blunt, undeniable truth you need to understand right now. For our entire financial world to function, to even exist, your money cannot simply sit there. It must flow. Cash, by its very design, will not preserve your purchasing power for the long term. Period. Its purpose is to be spent, to be lent, or to be strategically converted into assets that actually generate growth. If you honestly believe hoarding cash makes you smart or even conservative, then let me be blunt. You are dead wrong. You're simply volunteering to take the hit, absorbing all the dilution so everyone else's money actually gets to work. Which is precisely why understanding this isn't optional. It's absolutely foundational to your financial future. Here's the deal. Cash is engineered to lose value. Period. Think about it. Cash has zero built-in growth. It just sits there, stagnant. Why does it lose value? Inflation. Cash simply cannot keep up. It's completely passive. Cash doesn't reinvest. It doesn't compound. It cannot adjust itself. The economy might roar ahead, but cash just sits there. Its job is done the moment it hits your hand. And from that exact moment, the burden falls on you. You're doing all the work, manually. It's a losing battle. Next year, that same bill will be worth less. The year after, even less. Now, compare that to a business. It reinvests profits. It raises prices. It expands. They cut costs. They adapt. They're always active. Before we continue, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. It really helps the channel. Or take real estate. Prices climb because rents move with incomes. That's your natural hedge. Your investment should be working for you, not the other way around. That's a fundamental truth. Real assets adjust to the market. They adapt. They compound relentlessly. Earnings get reinvested. Shares get bought back. Dividends cycle through. That's how your money truly grows, even with inflation trying to eat away at it. Your assets don't just survive inflation. They actually transmit it. But cash? That's just bleeding value every single day. Here's the stark truth most people miss. Inflation isn't the real killer. It's the sheer lack of compounding that's actively destroying your future. A 3% inflation rate isn't catastrophic if your investments are growing at 6 to 8% annually. That's where you win. Gosh, earning 0% in a 3% inflationary world, that's not just a loss. That's a guaranteed loss, year after year after year. Cash, it's a 0% instrument unless you actively intervene, and honestly, that creates an impossible burden on you. Preserve value with cash, you'd have to constantly time the market, predicting every single shift. That's not a strategy, that's a gamble, and frankly, good luck winning that one. That cash sitting in your bank account? It's not just sitting there, it's actively losing value every single second. You're fighting a silent battle just to keep it from shrinking. Think about it. To just preserve its value, you have to perfectly time the market, predict global economics. Honestly, it's a full-time job you're absolutely not getting paid for. You're constantly battling inflation just to break even and missing out on every real growth opportunity. It's more than exhausting. It's a fundamentally losing battle. But what about real assets? These aren't passive. They do the heavy lifting for you. That's not just a difference, it's the only difference that matters. One side, by its very nature, grows and expands. The other, it shrinks and withers unless you obsessively manage every single detail. Which of those sounds like a viable long-term plan? This is exactly the core principle. True, long-term wealth is never built by simply holding money in a bank. It's built by owning things that actually grow faster than inflation eats away at its value. Of course, cash has its place. It offers utility, liquidity, flexibility. But let's be clear, those are not growth mechanisms. They're just temporary waiting states. The moment your cash stops waiting and starts owning real assets, the entire financial math flips in your favor. Until that happens, time is quietly, relentlessly working against you every single day. But here's the powerful truth. You absolutely can learn the knowledge and skills to completely flip that script for yourself. Let's be clear. The financial system isn't neutral. It actively rewards those who understand and skillfully use leverage. Bruce! It's all about credit and assets. If you're just hoarding cash, you're not playing the game. You're literally financing everyone else's participation and losing ground. So, what's this mean for your bottom line? When inflation explodes, asset owners don't just adapt, they move, and they move fast. Who thrives in this environment? Businesses hike prices, landlords jack up rent, equity owners, they watch their nominal values climb. Everyone else just pays more. Now, what about the borrowers? This is where it gets interesting. Their debts are fixed. So, as prices and incomes climb around them, their debt burden effectively shrinks. The financial system isn't a fair game. It's rigged to reward people who use leverage, credit, and assets. If you're only holding cash, you're not just out of the game, you're actively funding everyone else's wins. Here's the brutal truth. When inflation spikes, people holding assets adjust. Businesses hike prices, landlords jack up rent. If you own equity, your values shoot up right along with them. And borrowers? They adjust too. Their debt is fixed, so as prices and incomes climb, the real weight of their debt shrinks. But people just holding cash? They don't adjust. They just absorb the hit. Modern economies, for the record, they are built entirely on credit expansion. Governments run huge deficits. Corporations constantly refinance. Banks make fortunes lending. Growth itself is fueled by debt, which means the entire system has one core incentive. Cash sitting still? That's dead weight. Policy, regulation, even monetary design. It's all built to tilt the game. Low interest rates, inflation targets, easy money for debt. Every policy decision, without fail, points to this. It's all designed for asset inflation. And the winners are, quite frankly, obvious. Own assets or use smart credit, and inflation works for you. Hold cash, inflation simply preys on you. Here's why two people can live in the same economy, yet face totally different financial realities. Holding cash makes you the system's shock absorber. You take the hit, ensuring the big players never do. Your purchasing power vanishes, all to service someone else's debts. You're diluted, providing stability at your cost. To the system, you're just useful. To you, however, it's a blatant, invisible wealth transfer. No wonder long-term cash holders always feel the rules are rigged. You're in a game fundamentally designed to reward everything you're not doing. Cash feels safe, yet you're paying an outrageous premium for that illusion of safety. You love the feeling of cash just sitting there. No surprises, no red days, no stock market roller coasters here. Your balance won't suddenly plummet because some CEO fired off a dumb tweet. It feels unshakable, except that's a mirage. You're buying emotional comfort, not genuine financial protection. Just so. Sure, you dodge the market drops, but in doing so, you slam the door on all the explosive gains. You sidestep short-term pain, yes, but you sacrifice massive long-term upside. That trade isn't just expensive, it's financial self-sabotage. Most people make one massive, fundamental mistake. They compare cash, which appears static, to assets that clearly crash. You're probably thinking, why risk 10,000 in stocks when I could just keep it safe and never think about it? That's the wrong question entirely. Forget that old comparison. The real battle isn't visible volatility versus visible drops. It's visible volatility versus invisible decay. One is loud, chaotic, and right in your face. What? Just stash $10,000 and never think about it again? You're missing the entire picture. The real choice you're making? Visible volatility versus invisible decay. One screams for your attention. The other? It's silent. Our brains are wired to dread loud noise more than a slow, quiet bleed. That's why cash seems so responsible. Even when it's actively doing damage, every single year your money sits in cash, you're paying for that safety. You're forfeiting compounding, sacrificing market gains, squandering precious time. These aren't just minor costs. They don't show up as losses, they show up as gains you never had. That's why psychologically we're so good at just ignoring them. Here's the brutal truth. Cash isn't a shield from risk. It simply trades one danger for another. Instead of market risk, you invite inflation risk, reinvestment risk, longevity risk. And believe me, those are far more insidious. Unlike market risk, these don't reverse. Markets crash and recover. But cash erosion, that journey only goes one way. It never rebounds. It just keeps losing value, so the next time someone tells you, I'm holding cash to be safe, the truth is, you're paying a premium just to avoid feeling uncomfortable. Of course, liquidity has its place, especially for the short term. But relying on cash as your long-term strategy? That's one of the most expensive forms of financial insurance you'll ever buy. And here's the fifth reason. Holding cash actively prevents you from building real wealth. Wealth doesn't compound sitting in your bank account. It only starts growing once it's invested. Ha! But as long as your money stays cash, you're just a consumer. You're not an owner. You might have savings, discipline, even patience, but you're still on the sidelines. You're outside the compounding loop. Your money isn't working for you yet. Ownership is the critical switch. The moment cash becomes an asset, stocks, real estate, your own business, anything that generates returns, that's when the real work begins. Your entire role changes. You stop relying only on your paycheck. You start participating in growth systems. Imagine your money working for you, growing and earning without your constant effort. Every moment your cash sits idle, it's costing you. That delay has a compounding cost, just as aggressive as any potential returns. Think about it. Every single year your money sits in cash, nothing happens, no reinvestment, no assets appreciate, no leverage works for you. Time doesn't care. The only question is whether it's working for your money or actively working against it. Ever wonder why you feel stuck financially, even when you're sure you're doing everything right? It's because of this. They earn, they save, they avoid debt. Seems perfect, right? But nothing compounds, and when nothing compounds, nothing ever happens. Compounding isn't some reward for endless preparation. It's about positioning. You have to be in the game. Cash is just sitting there. Assets are your ticket to growth, and the longer you wait, the longer your financial future stays frozen. You won't be poor, sure, but you certainly won't be progressing either. And here's the real kicker, the subtle trap. A growing cash balance creates a powerful illusion of real progress. Here's the brutal truth. Your net worth won't budge until you actually own something. I'm not talking about holding cash. I mean owning assets that genuinely grow. Most people hit pause waiting for some perfect moment, some guaranteed certainty, or just feeling comfortable. And that, my friend, is a massive blunder! Every second you wait, you're literally handing away the single most powerful tool for building wealth, time. And trust me, time isn't waiting around for you. Cash itself isn't the enemy, but let's be clear, it's absolutely not a long-term solution. Think of it as a tool, not a trophy. You simply hoard. The longer you just sit on that cash, the more real growth you're missing out on, and the faster inflation eats away at your future. Imagine you win the lottery. Do you take the lump sum today or steady payments for life? Your answer to that reveals everything about how you truly value long-term growth. But, so, is this your future? The same stress cycle every single month forever? This is the core truth. It's non-negotiable. Understand it. Apply it. Next time we go deeper.